Hi, Richard here, founder of Learn, Implement, Share. In this video, I'll walk you through an example strategy embed hub for an organisation with one site and later for a multi-site organisation. We advocate that organisations build a culture of learning, improve workplace practices, leading to better outcomes. Note that this example uses a corporate setting, but is equally applicable to any organisation, including not-for-profits, schools, and communities of schools. Full disclosure, I created all of the aspects of what you're about to see. The framework, the layout, the online spaces, but I did have ChatGPT save me some time by generating some content inside those spaces, plus some of the contributions from the 4 demo accounts, which I used as example participants. It makes sense to begin with a Start Here section. There'll be a short welcome video from one of the leaders, and then an opportunity for everyone to introduce themselves. This can be a fun, quirky activity. Say something about yourself that most people don't know, that sort of thing. The What's This All About section contains an overview, outcomes, an outline of the key components, and so on. We also have some navigation tips for using the platform. And finally, some self-reflective questions. Now here's the thing. Employees are going to be skeptical initially about the hub. Oh no, here's another waste of time program that we're all forced to do. Trust me, there's going to be some resistance, but it's misguided. Such misconceptions are natural because people don't yet know the potential of this system. And so it's best to address those up front with some self-reflective questions. Here's one possible question. Note the unique layout of the responses. You can read them one at a time or in conventional layout, or you can get the AI summary. Let's look at another question. Describe one change you've made in your workflow in the past year or so. Here's all the responses, and here's the AI summary. Note that this system allows for multiple comment threads on one page. Trust me, this is an absolute game changer. And then we have the 2 core aspects of the implementation hub. Remember, this is all about maximising the conversion of ideas into long-term workplace practice. The first core space is where employees post their implementation reflections. To create an implementation reflection space, an employee clicks the red button, adds a title, and generates their reflection space. Note the thumbnails are randomly generated. They can be changed or turned off. Let's have a look at Courtney's implementation reflections. She has 2, and each one follows the same theme. What I did, what worked well, and what I would do differently next time. Colleagues can reply to ask questions and offer suggestions. Utilising implementation reflections is key for raising employee accountability around improving workplace practice and for fostering a community of learning within the organisation. Now, I advocate having employees implement one idea from every training and to write a reflection. This way, every training is impactful and employee accountability is raised, thereby strengthening the learning community across the organisation. And now to the second core aspect, the employee-generated resources, activities and tutorials. Within any organisation, many employees are highly skilled in certain areas and many have areas of weakness. By having employees create mini tutorials of their best strategies and tech skills, everyone benefits from everyone's best practices. To create a new resource, click the red button, title it, and click the blue button. To create a write-up, employees complete a simple template. Of course, the template can be modified to suit the organisation's wishes. If we have a look at one of these example entries, Simon has posted a favourite interpersonal strategy. If I'm an employee keen to implement this idea, I want to know why is it an excellent idea, the step-by-step instructions, what I should think about before I implement it, what I need to get right, any possible pitfalls, and other possible applications of the strategy. At the bottom of each tutorial, there can be a space for dialogue so that colleagues can field questions and suggestions. Perhaps the most powerful use of the employee-generated tutorials is for tech-based skills, including the clever use of AI. We'll offer guidance for employees who don't yet know how to easily create screen recordings. Note that some tutorials could be created collaboratively. Now let's have a look at another tutorial. This one contains video content. Now the tutorials are tagged for searching purposes, so it doesn't matter if you have hundreds of tutorials. So that's a walkthrough of the two core aspects, but there's much more that we can do with a hub. You might ask, can we have a place for current training? Yes, we can. It could look like this. Let's assume we have an ongoing training by a consultant. Once a month, the consultant runs a live session. A week prior to each live session, the related online pre-work module is released, as designated by these dates. This way, the key information can be delivered in the pre-work, and the live session is freed up to maximise group work and live collaboration. Let's take a look inside one of these pre-work modules. We have a couple of videos and articles, and importantly, a thread for participants to write their takeaways and questions. What if you have multiple trainings being undertaken by different departments? No problem. We can add as many current trainings as you need. We can create pretty much whatever can be done online. The training on the right is a future scheduled training, as designated by the date, which is a couple of months in the future from the time of recording. What about a place for past training? No problem. It could look like this. Let's have a look inside one of these. Again, this is a template. In this example, we have a message from the leaders. Then comes the introduction, and then key ideas and misconceptions, because there's always misconceptions around a good idea, so we start with those. Then the key ideas to implement. There's the theory worth reading, which is different from theory that's not worth reading. Then the most useful implementable theory, and then links to other related theory. Can the organisation change this template? Absolutely. You may want more or less detail. Again, this is just an example. Now, I want to make a point here. Having a repository of past training is a great idea, right? But here's the question that very few people ask. Why bother having a repository of past training, or of any training for that matter, if it doesn't convert to long-term workplace improvement by the vast majority of employees? I mean, if we're going to run training, it has to convert. Otherwise, we're wasting everyone's time and the organisation's money. So here's my recommendation. Encourage the teams to occasionally access the past training and challenge everyone to find one idea to implement, post a reflection, and then if the idea becomes part of a person's workflow, have them generate a strategy write-up. Then we link those tutorials to the related trainings. So now the whole program converts to workplace change. Now, if an organisation wants to foster a culture of learning, then ideally the approach needs to be team-based. And so if we have teams, each with a team leader, can each team have a place to record their progress? Yes, they can. It can look like this. Click here. This space contains all team write-ups because in this scenario we want all teams to benefit from each other's experience. Each team leader clicks this button once to create their team's write-up space. Each entry is posted via the chat thread. Let's have a look at Team 1's write-ups. Note that the write-ups should not be arduous, just bullets of what was achieved and what the plans and goals are before the next meeting. Who's going to do what, that sort of thing. Keep it simple so it's easy and quick to read. What's that? It'd be a good idea if the managers and team leaders had their own space. I agree. It could look like this. A team leader hub would only be accessible to the team leaders, other managers and myself. This allows managers and myself to send reminders to team leaders about aspects of the program. Here's a reminder about navigation tips. This reminder is about tagging people to receive messages. The Team Leaders Forum allows leaders to communicate in a private space. For example, how is everyone handling the new mandate, that is, implement one idea from each training and post a reflection? Here are some example responses. And the other message, what's been the feedback so far regarding employees generating strategy write-ups? Has there been much comment, or resistance, or enthusiasm? That's another good question to ask. And again, we have some example replies. So that's one example of an implementation hub for a single site organisation. But can we use one strategy embed hub for a multi-site organisation? Yes, we can. In this example, we have company EX with 9 sites across the globe. Most of what you've seen so far would be contained in each company's location. If we have a look at Sydney, for example, you'll recognise the layout. It makes sense to have the core spaces site-specific. It also makes sense to have the current, future and past trainings site-specific. Although, if there's a training that is delivered across the whole organisation, then it would be best to add that to the top level space. Again, it's the organisation's choice. Now, how this works is that everyone has access to the global implementation hub, the top level space, and then the Sydney employees have access to the Sydney space, the London employees have access to the London space, and so on. Here we have the top level space, and we see the Start Here section at the top. This is identical to what you saw before. Now recently, I was speaking with a consultant who asked me if it would be possible for an employee who wanted to learn a particular skill to gather together a group of colleagues who also wanted to learn that skill so they could learn together. I thought, what a great idea. So the next day I created this. I've called it, no surprises, the Who Else Wants to Learn This space. And this is what it looks like. Gary is in sales and wants to learn Alter AI. Courtney wants to become fluent in Japanese, and so on. If we check out Gary's space, he's already forming a tribe, and they are planning a way to get started. The Who Else Wants to Learn This space could be organisation-wide or site-specific. This example is organisation-wide because it's on the top-level space. Again, this is a choice for the organisation to make. Note that the Who Else Wants to Learn This space could be integral to a pilot for an organisation who's keen but not yet ready to roll out one of these across the entire organisation. With a Who Else Wants to Learn This space, we could initiate a pilot with perhaps 10 to 20% of staff. Then there are some supplementary spaces. I've got two examples here, Global Resources and Global Forum. If we look at the resources, we can have as many categories as we want, and we're also asking for resource suggestions from employees. So, that's it in a nutshell. An example implementation hub to transform single-site and multi-site organisations. I hope it's evident that this system is extremely flexible and is ideal to foster a culture of continuous learning, empower employees, and maximise the improvement of workplace practices. Now, if you're a professional whose work enhances organisational performance, please pay attention to the consultant-specific information which is linked somewhere below this video. And let's explore a possible collaboration so that you can leverage the approach. Below are links to schedule a Zoom call or to message me. I'm looking forward to talking with you soon. I'm Richard. Thanks so much for watching.